What's up, Juventina? Welcome back to the AJC, your channel dedicated to Juventus. And therapy is in session, Tuna. You know therapy is in session. And heads have to roll. But have they? No. And meanwhile, everything seems in shambles. In absolute shambles right now, all right? We got some serious things to talk about and discuss at how ugly this scenario is around Juventus. We've got no real guidelines for this show. The news is quiet other than reiterating everything that was said yesterday. We had some injury concerns coming out of yesterday. Cambiasso is clear, no injury. But I'm going to get to my thoughts on Cambiasso as well. Lloyd Kelly, he'll have to be monitored a bit more. And there was a Milik signing. There's your savior for this season. Maybe Moto's waiting all along for our Eric Milik here. One way or another, yeah, we've got a ton to talk about. I got Mas, I got Sev with me. Mas, how you doing, brother? Ready to go?
The sun came up today, guys. It's a new day. I'm trying to stay as positive as I can here, but this team is making it damn hard. I got to be honest.
Good luck and Godspeed on that one. Yeah. Sev, how you doing, brother?
Oh, man. Berto, I almost feel like you should be in a chair, like with a notepad, and me and Mas should be like on couches, like next to you, like just being like, how does that make you feel? Like, like what the fuck? Yeah.
Guys,
what kind of feelings do you have when you say that?
This is kind of, honestly, going to be probably pretty accurate to what it's going to be like here today. There's a lot to dissect. The game sure isn't going to take a lot to cover. We've got more action probably in the post-match, just with words and everything to dissect and analyze and look at, than the actual game itself. We start with the starting lineups, all right? And Juve obviously had theirs projected. And by the way, everybody in the chat, what's up? Okay, I see a ton of you fired up, and rightfully so with everything that's going on. But everybody that's in here, big props for rocking this out. It's ugly. Not everyone can stomach these type of post-match shows, but I promise you, we got some laughs in here too, everybody, okay? We're going to try to entertain at the same time, because if we can't laugh, then I'd be legitimately concerned. So everybody get the likes up, okay? Swarit, Alex Juve, Dragons 8, Tony Roast Beef, Mitch, what's up, everybody? Alex Juve, Matt, let's go. Let's rock. Now, Di Gregorio, Kalulu, Vega, Kelly, Weah, Locatelli, Thuram, Cope Miners, McKennie, Nico, Kolomuani. What was interesting is that we saw this first listed as a 3-5-2. And I said, do or die matchup, you're going to bust out a 3-5-2, which you really haven't rocked with, and you're going to have some questionable decisions in there. The first thing that thought to my... and then I looked at it and I was like, okay, he's going to go 4-2-3-1. And I said, it's still shit, in my honest opinion, because... I don't like it. You're telling me this is a do-or-die game. Gatti doesn't play on this roster. Gatti doesn't play on this roster. Not one of Yildiz or Chico Conceição takes the pitch in a do-or-die game if your job is on the line. And then you're going to tell me that Nico Gonzalez needs to be starting in this one all at the same time. Cambiasso should not be played and used. Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at 3-5-2. I didn't like it in a 4-2-3-1. Thought it was garbage. I thought it was junk. I go, your key guys aren't even in there. But maybe that tells the story in itself right out of the gate, because I know the feelings after the game started to go back to that. But I didn't like the lineup. Mas, did you like the lineup? What'd you think? Were you immediately concerned like I was?
No, I echo your sentiments 100%, Berto. I mean, it was a lineup that wasn't aggressive. It didn't show that they wanted to win the game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of the decisions there. I saw Kelly at left back. As soon as I saw that, I heard your voice in my head go, one thing is clear, Kelly's not a left back.
Yeah, not at all.
Let's put him in there anyway, right?
It's still questionable with the center back, but definitely not left back.
Right. I mean, you're right on Gatti. Gatti should have been playing. I mean, Yildiz to not even see the pitch the whole game is
And we'll get to that because that's the spark for me of what I believe is going on and where I'm really gonna lay into today. Sev, what kind of questions did you have when you saw that lineup?
Oh man. So when the 3-5-2 Albanese thing came out about what was that, like an hour before the game or whatever, and I was like, is this a fucking joke? And then I didn't believe it at first, and then you guys were all like trying to convince me that, oh, he's usually pretty accurate or whatever, and I was like, there's no. And then he waits until this game to pull a Conte and do a 3-5-2 or whatever. But at the end of the day, I didn't care if he would have went with a 3-5-2. It was the guys he put in the spots.
Yeah.
And that's what was bothering me. I'm like, okay, the only one I'll give him a pass on is the Gatti thing, only because the guy's played literally every game this year, I feel like. And Vega coming back, we didn't know Vega was going to look the way he did yesterday, but we were all pretty confident in that. But the Nico and the Coop is going to bother me every single game. You're dying on a hill with these guys.
I look at that lineup, and you're telling me you're going to have one of Coop Miners or McKennie as one of the wingers in a 4-2-3-1.
Well, McKennie too on the right wing.
You're going to continue with McKennie as a 10. You're going to have Nico Gonzalez up there, and Kolomuani has gradually fallen into the same trap that every player has because this system sucks. And I've said it all along that Vlahovic may have shortcomings, but he ain't the damn problem when it comes to this team and this system. Anybody you put up at the top will eventually fall into that black hole, and there you go. Kolomuani is officially in that one as well. So out of that entire team, I said, well, you've taken your best wingers that are the main source of creation for this team, and you haven't started a single one. So for me, it was an epic fail right out of the get-go. But of course, you got to play the games. So let's see what they do. Well, unfortunately, a lot of our concerns and stuff came to fruition, all right? And you get into this 15th minute, and it's a corner, and we are just so damn soft on set pieces. This one, a little bit fortunate. I mean, Gosens heads it in. It gets blocked. It falls right back to him, and he just slashes at it, and it goes short side on the volley. We're 1-0 down, and it's the same thing all the time. We got to react. It's been reactions all friggin' season. We've had to react. Oh, we need the bounce back. We need the reaction. And half the time it falls flat. 18th minute, sleeping here. We don't even go up for this aerial, and it's one into the middle. Our midfield is lost. The ball finds itself to Fagioli. Mandragora is making a run in there. Vega's like not even closing him down, and Weah's way out on the wing. I don't even know where. It was actually Lloyd Kelly stepped up on the initial aerial battle, but never contested it. So then Vega's left back there. Mandragora makes the run beyond. Fagioli puts it right in his path, and this is a good hit. And to be fair, good volley, but he was in close for Gosens. Good goals, but I mean, we could have done so much better. We hit halftime. We barely get a sniff of getting anything significant. You're 2-0 down. But for me, there was no level of compete whatsoever in that first half. I'm like, I don't know your reasoning for what you're doing out there, but you have to get guys, if you give a shit about this result, if this is in fact do or die, you've got to make changes at half. Like, stop messing around. He had to make changes at half if he cared about the result. Right? He had to.
I look at it more of I'm piggybacking off of you because their attitudes didn't look where you wanted them to be. It didn't look like they were trying, but on top of the fact of that, it's that they kept trying the same bullshit. They kept trying these long passes from the back of the midfield, trying to find Nico or McKennie on the wings or whatever. And where is Motta at that point to be like, guys, that's not working. Let's go on the ground. There's no adaptability. There's no dynamics. Like, there's nothing. It's just straight up, I'm going to keep trying. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit that nobody, where's his assistant coach to be like, hey, mister, can we try this? Because this isn't working. Like,
His
there's none of
assistant's
that.
a plug. He had to come in when he got a red, and he's like just a passenger. He doesn't. This Hugo guy is nothing. Like absolutely nothing.
But
And if you need your
listen to
assistant
his
come in and
assistant?
step into you on a game that's do or die for you, then you've got nothing in the bag anyways. And we've already known that this guy's like a one-trick pony, and I don't even know if he's got one trick in the bag. But halftime, you absolutely had to make changes. This team was flat as flat can be, and just if you care at all, you could see you can't create a single thing. Fiorentina was in cruise control. Cruise control. And we didn't contest. We didn't challenge whatsoever. Like, Mas, I mean, we all felt the same. You got to make changes. Bottom line. Had to make changes. I don't think, did anybody sit there and think, oh yeah, we should continue with the exact same guys to start the second half?
I literally, in the army chat, I posed a question. I'm like, seriously though, does it not look like the players just are ready to throw this guy under the bus? Just the effort level that was there.
Oh, pathetic.
Sorry, there was no effort. I don't even know what I'm
effort.
saying effort for, because there was no effort. There was zero effort. It honestly looked like they were out there to bury this guy, right?
Yeah, and I mean, this is the feelings as that game went on, and everybody that was with me on the watch along, I mean, Jesus, we're united by the bond of pain now, brothers, okay? But I'm telling you, the feelings just kept ramping up that this team is completely given up on him. He's out of ideas. He can't shift this, and this is what'll be the main question moving forward. Because, again, top four seems to be the only thing that fans give a shit about. And that's what's concerning, is that I don't think, do they actually give a shit about top four and losing that Champions League revenue? We'll get to that. Second half, 48th minute, big block from Ranieri. This is probably the closest we get on a header put back into the mixer towards McKennie. Big block from Ranieri there. 52nd minute, 4 minutes later. They're just running up the heart after a turnover. They find Goodmanson, and he just carries it the rest of the way. This is a hell of a hit, has to be said. Great strike from Goodmanson. Di Gregorio's not going to stop that one. And that's 3-0. You're absolutely dead. And we're stuck watching, 28 minutes of, 38 minutes of absolute nothing. Absolute nothing. And the funny thing is, your next three substitutions consecutively are defenders. 3-0 down. Do or die match. That sums it up right there in a nutshell. You're 3-0 down, do or die game. Your three subs consecutively are defenders. Huh. And Conceição joined at the same time as Gatti at the 74th minute. But shocking. No Yildiz to be seen. Glued to the bench. Maybe you try something with two strikers. No. Vlahovic glued to the bench. We had the Viola fans chanting, Dove Vlahovic. Yeah, great. We set ourselves up for all this, unfortunately. The game ends there, you guys, and it's just, I can't even say shocking. That's the sad part about it. You can't even say shock. Like I was saying shock yesterday, but then when you stop and think about it, it's like, it's not shocking. We've seen this coming a mile away, that this team has given up on this manager. And here we are, staring down the barrel of what we thought would be probably a Black Monday for Thiago Motta, and instead, the words afterwards are all just confirmations that we're continuing on until season's end. Now, for me, I'm just going to start off by saying my issue with this match is that it's clear as day what's going on. These players, they've given up on this whole thing. And furthermore, he's got no hope in hell of breaking out of it. And he's more concerned with continuing fighting these personal agendas or battles than he does going after results. So he's kind of in a position where he's damned. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because the guys that are on the outs were all the guys rumored to have issues with Motta previously. Yildiz, Vlahovic, Cambiaso, Gatti. None of those 4 players start the game. Obviously, Vlahovic you could take out of the equation because we didn't think he would start over Kolomuani. But, I mean, it's pretty telling. It's pretty telling. And then to even continue and you make 3 defender subs and you're still keeping Yildiz out, now it opens up a bigger world of concern. But for me, he's fighting personal battles, and this thing's dead in the water. If we don't act, we will definitely not hit top 4. That's my immediate thoughts, gut reaction after this one. I get the vibes. He cares more about fighting those battles. Do you guys agree with that? And your feelings coming out of that game, because that was what I was feeling immediately, is that he's just fighting battles and this team's going nowhere.
Yeah.
Fire away.
I was watching your watch along while I had it on the TV, and I've never felt more bad for you. Like, because at one point you just looked like you were just gonna take everything that's on your desk there and just throw it, like spin your chair around and just be like, "All right, that's it. It was fun while it lasted." But I don't disagree with one thing you said. My issue, and where I'll take it a step further, is we all watch sports, we all watch other soccer games. When you are at that point of maybe your career and you don't pull out all the stops, that means I don't care if you go with like 4 forwards just to make it look like I'm throwing out everything in the kitchen sink type of shit. And he brings in three defenders. Like, almost like, hey, you 3, coincidentally, are the same 3 that we all heard during the week he has a beef with. He has a beef with Deschamps. He has a beef with Yildiz. He has a beef with Gatti. Even Cambiaso should have started the game. Like, can you make it any more obvious that you're being a little bitch and holding your beefs with these people? Like, how stubborn are you with this guy? Like, what is wrong with you?
I don't think he can bank on them. I think he knows if he plays them, they're not going to give. Maybe it's weird because Di Gregorio comes out and says, all of us are like, we're all with Thiago Motta and stuff. I call BS immediately because I could see it. I mean, we have eyes, you know. The only one that might not be able, that might question it, is Stevie Wonder. Otherwise, everybody else that can watch this game knows you guys are not with him. That's not how you perform for a guy that you're backing. Mas, your thoughts like on like after this whole thing, after the game, the dust settles and everything, where were you at?
I immediately thought, like, there's been all season long, there's been this talk about locker room, you know, arguments and whatnot. I've been watching football for a long time, even beyond Juve. I don't remember seeing a situation like this where so many players or a manager had so many issues with so many players. Even if the season went relatively well, I mean, that's a red flag in itself. I mean, it speaks to just the kind of character Motta is, right? Where the guy has this ego that's come from nothing. He hasn't proven anything, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that speaks to the mistake that we made, that this jump was too big for him, right? Going from a side like Bologna to us, it's everybody expected the best, but it didn't work out, right?
What's crazy for me is that it's just this guy's had issues here and there at clubs with players. Never to the degree of this. Never to the degree of this where, like, I feel I'd be surprised if less than half of the locker room isn't against him. Like, I'd be surprised if it was just those 4 or 5 guys. I think it's more that are just like, no, this is crazy. And I mean, he's brought it on himself. But Giuntoli, I always said, what concerns me is how guys were pushed away and how certain guys were pushed out. Moves that didn't have anything to do with finances either. And we took away our own depth. And I didn't like that he was, like, following the lead because Motta can't use a guy. Yesterday was a prime example of Fagioli. Fagioli is a guy that Motta couldn't use. Got down to 5 minutes of cameos here and there. And he looks like he could play just fine to me. By the way, just in case if we forgot, Douglas Luiz can't stay fit for like a half. and Cope Miners hasn't been doing anything. But we cannot use Fagioli. And this is the type of thing that drives me crazy about Motta. You were unable to use a guy like Rugani at the start of the year that is happy to be 5th on the depth chart, maybe 6th on the depth chart, but will stick around and be utilized when he is needed and do so happily. But you can't, because you're like this professor with this 4-2-3, this 2-7-2 nonsense. It's always been a 4-2-3-1, and it's garbage. But you're some type of professor that you can't use this guy, and you're going to push him aside. Danilo, regardless of minutes, regardless of performance, I always said that is immediately how you screw with team morale. You've taken the team's captain, a guy recognized by everybody in that locker room, and you've alienated him. How on earth are you going to get the backing of the group that you're trying to lead? This doesn't just apply to the world of football. This applies to business. This applies to your jobs. You don't force engagement. You cannot force engagement. If you want guys to fight for you to be, the players don't need Motta. Motta needs the players. And you cannot force engagement. You actively took steps that you shot yourself in the foot with. And for Giuntoli, who is a sporting director looking over all aspects of the sporting side, he went along with it a little bit too easy. And there should have been a line drawn where it's like, no, you could deal with it. We need depth too. But he is following, and this is something that has been said about him, even by Napoli fans. He follows, at times, too closely to his coach. But Motta shot himself in the foot. Now, we will get to players because Giuntoli's kind of drawn a line. He's kind of drawn a line and said, no, apparently there was a meeting. He addressed the players immediately and tried to remind them about the shirt and Juve and where they're at, and said, no, you guys got to step it up, and we're riding with this guy until the end. This is a catastrophe, you guys. It's a catastrophe. But the players, Giuntoli essentially, according to these reports, have turned it on the players. So for me, like I said, Motta has shot himself in the foot. You can't force engagement. He was taking steps actively hurting team morale. And you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So it's hard for me to sympathize with him on that. But how do you feel about Giuntoli turning it to the players? Because there's a lot of talk about that. These guys need to step up. They have to have pride. They have to be professionals. How about their part in all this, guys? Mas?
Go ahead, Mas. You go first.
Listen, everybody in the organization has a part to play in this disaster, right?
Yeah.
The players maybe aren't being led in the right direction, but at the end of the day, you guys are professionals, right? I'm on the fence on this one because one side of me is like, okay, these guys are professionals. They got to go out and they got to do what they got to do regardless, right? But then I saw in the chat, I can't remember who posted it, but somebody said doing this is the only power that players have in terms of trying to get a coach out, right? So it's part of me is like, players just got to go out and do it, right? And it's clear as day that they're not doing it at all. Like, we saw jogging out there yesterday, guys.
It's this balance. Like, yeah, the players need to be professional. They need to take pride in what they do. But at the same time, you in your own job, if you see your colleagues mistreated or whatever, if you actually believe, guys are getting alienated and whatnot, it's probably going to affect you too. You guys are like, that's like a brotherhood that you're messing with. Yep. It's different when you're part of a team. Like, the players are like a brotherhood. And again, as a coach, man management is not second or third to other things that are key about being a coach. It is equal with the other factors at the top. And I think he's failed tremendously from a man management perspective, and it is clear as day, and it's smacking us right in the face right now. Sev, your thoughts on the players getting pushback from Giuntoli now?
Yeah, well, they do deserve a little bit of pushback, and like Ma said, at the end of the day, these guys are professional athletes, right? I'll take it a step further and say, are they that angry where they look unmotivated? There's no motivation for them, like regardless of like even last year, as much as we all killed Allegri, when we lost, they didn't look unmotivated. Like they still looked like they would fight till the end and do all this stuff that we talk about. But I don't think they did it on purpose. I don't think they literally said, "Hey, we're going to look like absolute shit and jog everywhere and not play motivated and do this." I think they literally are not motivated by this guy. They have no sense of like, "Hey, I know we suck right now. I know we've lost now 3 horrible games in a row. And guys, I'm sorry. PSV, Empoli, and Fiorentina, and Atalanta, those are all, if not draws, we're better than those teams. We are better than them. On paper, we're better. But I don't think it's a purposeful thing. I think that they literally are not motivated. What the hell happens at halftime in that locker room? What happens?
Listen,
does he not like grab them? We've
not
all
even,
seen the...
Not even a motivational thing, because I highlighted this comment from Michael Gagliardi because this is leading me to one of the other things I was going to talk about that I have a major problem with. Yes, they are professionals, but also human. They see that the coach plays favorites, not based on success in the field. If you're going to be a leader, and again, remember, these players don't need Motta. We could fire him and another coach comes in and they keep trucking on, right? Motta needs the players. If you're going to go in, week out, and you're going to preach about meritocracy as much as he did, and then you get the continuation of Nico Gonzalez time and time again, the continuation of Colt Miners time and time again, the continuation of a 4-2-3-1 that leaves your strikers on an island dead to rights. These continuation thing, like if you want them to buy in, if you're gonna walk the walk, like if you're gonna talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. As far as one of his big things about meritocracy, he failed. He failed tremendously. And you don't think that the players can see that and that affects them? Of course it will, because it's nonsense. And we heard about the rumor of the player talking to like a friend, a family member, a close one, etc., saying that, yeah, I don't like this guy. You could be start. You don't know if you're going to start. You don't know if you're going to be out of the project. You literally don't know with this guy. Loose cannon, wild card, call it whatever you want. But his actions have taken a toll, and we're at boiling point. Now, as far as Giuntoli putting it on the players, I'm sorry, man. I don't know if you're trying to make things look a little clean. Here's my immediate gut reaction. I told you guys in the green room, this is what really irritates me. Guys in the chat, if you feel the same way, feel free to let me know. But I feel like now all of a sudden you got this stupid game of chicken between Giuntoli and Motta, as if they're trying to get this guy to resign, as now even media is asking him all the time about resigning. He says, I'm not resigning. I'm clearly the guy for it. Excuse me? Doesn't look like that, okay? But he says, I'm clearly the guy for it. The game is the same as the others. We started well. He said we started well yesterday.
Jesus.
I'm done with the nonsense. Listen. Now we get to a moment, if he's playing a game of chicken with Motta as if he wants him to resign rather than us pay the money for the severance, now you're using Juve as some type of puppet in all of this, which actually, that's where I get irritated, and that's where it drives me nuts. I stand firm. I said it yesterday. If you don't fire this guy, then Giuntoli, you can pack your bags too, and you can be out the door with him. And you know what? That idiot that's sleeping, he hasn't even woken up yet. He still doesn't even know the scoreline, okay? And he's going to wake up and then he's going to yawn, scratch his ass, and roll over and go back to sleep. That's our president currently, okay? I don't think he's even awake yet or even knows what happened. It's a mess from all aspects. Giuntoli comes out with this nonsense PR thing that we're backing him, etc. And then he starts talking about the project again. I had to walk away at that point when I hear him again addressing I don't care what the hell you call this thing. It's broken. If anybody at the club actively cares about top 4, you act, and you act now. Otherwise, the route we're going, I could tell you right now, we are not reaching top 4, everybody. If this man stays, if you don't actively try to find some type of stimulus to finish the year out, it will not happen. Okay? Del Piero, he laid into everything, and he was spot on. He said the problem is the reaction. There is no reaction. He goes, you can't have no reaction. That tells me that there is major problems. And he's right. We can all see it. If that's a do or die game, and that's what you come out with, yeah, there's major issues. Major issues. And all I'm going to say is this. I stand firm. They can all get on the bus. Giuntoli, Motta, if Motta still remains, there's their ride out. Okay? There's their ride out of Continassa. Right there. Okay? And out of all of this, the one I felt really bad for was our brother. Our brother. Always trying to get positive. But this is the scene when Skanga says everything is fine at the stadium. There he is. He went to the game.
Skanga? Maybe that's where he is.
He was in the corner just, he said, everything's fine, guys. And, he kind of cleared out the Juve sector. Jokes aside, I mean, we got to be able to laugh a little bit here, you guys. But this is, it's crazy. I mean, you have to act, right? You have to.
Well, I'll go down the rabbit hole a little further, Berto. We keep saying do or die match for Motta. Maybe we were misinformed, and maybe the media made that one up or something, because maybe they didn't think it. Obviously, they didn't think it was a do or die match. If we would have lost 1-0 in a Cortomuso type game, but we played with fire and fight and all of this other bullshit that we're looking for, and they lost, and then I'd say, all right, the team looked motivated, they looked ready, they looked hungry. Bro, you lost 3-0. You were never in this game. The first 20 minutes were good. It was horrible. So maybe it wasn't a do or die game. Maybe they went into that game saying, "Hey, his leash is a lot longer than we all think."
No, maybe media, because a lot of these guys, some of the guys that were claiming that are actually Juventini. Maybe we just give this team too much credit. Maybe we just give this team too much credit, because it should have been a do or die game. It should have been. And like I said, actions should be taken if you care. But you know what? Times have changed. Because this is how it used to be, and this is how it is now. Madonna mia.
Oh my God.
He looks good, though. He looks good.
Jesus.
Doesn't know much about football, but he looks fantastic.
If I would have known you, I would have put on a pair of glasses and wrapped like a sweater around me just for the light.
I wanted to just drive a sweet chin music right there. Okay, look at this, just shambles, you guys, shambles. It's hard to just stomach. It's hard to stomach that it feels like. Are we the only ones that give a shit about this Champions League qualification? Because I'm telling you, the way it's going, not acting, you're going to sit there and we're going to hit this. If you're a player right now, and again, yes, they're players. Yes, they take pride. They need to take pride in everything. They need to understand where they're at. But at the same time, they are humans. And if you believe you're mistreated, what prevents these guys from leaving? So now we've talked a lot about the fact that the books are pretty much good, okay? But losing that revenue is going to have its effect. But what about continuing like this, having an even bigger effect? I wouldn't be surprised. You're going into a mercado where you maybe only have to get rid of one big sale to make things right, and then you're working level. But Newsflash, if things continue like this and you don't want to act, you don't want to step up, and all of a sudden Yildiz says, no, you know what, I want to go. I want to leave. Huh, okay. And then everybody smells the blood in the water and say, oh, we'll give you 45. But he wants out. And then you're shooting yourself in the foot. Cambiaso can leave. Maybe the guys that come in, you have no hopes of retaining them. You've just lost a ton of revenue. They won't want to stay. And they'll want Champions League. Some of those guys will want Champions League football. And you're in a world of hurt. Why? Why? You're not going to actively show these guys that you care about the cause too, and that you're fighting for what's best for everybody. And you got to say, guys, we want, like, for the guys that want to stay here, we need you to put the fight up. Like, we want Champions League football because we want to retain you guys. We want, like, there has to be some type of message. This guy's made a huge mess, Motta, and now we're taking the gun from where it should be pointed, and we've put it away, and now we've grabbed a flamethrower, and we're going at everyone. And it's like, start somewhere to draw a line and then work accordingly. You never have to take accountability away from players, but you have to start somewhere. Otherwise, right now, zero standards is what this whole thing screams to me. Agree? Disagree?
100% agree. Go ahead.
In terms of the talent too, you got to figure it's not even retaining talent, right? It's, can we attract any sort of talent to come in? Not only, even if you're not in Champions League, even if you make Champions League, I mean, any player looking at this shit show from the outside, who would want to be a part of this? Yeah. I feel like the longer we go on with this, the whole lure of like playing for Juve and, you know, playing for the badge and all this stuff, it's just slowly starting to fade away, right? I mean, as a player, you have so many options. Why would you want to come into this just dumpster fire, right?
It's alarming. It's concerning. These are major concerns. And, you know, you say what you want about a guy like Vlahovic, whatnot, but we're not helping our case in selling the guy either with this whole little battle that Motta wants to put up and fight as well. And yesterday's a game that you're getting smoked in. Want to try two strikers? Want to try something different than 4-2-3-1, like ever? I don't know. It's infuriating, and I feel bad for all of us as fans. I really do, because nobody deserves this. Nobody deserves this. You know, it's a tough spot to stomach that, and I can feel the pain in a guy like Del Piero's words, man. He's laying it out, and he was spot on, and it's garbage. It's garbage from the top. But he states that there needs to be a serious discussion. Buddy, we're so far beyond a serious discussion. Like, a serious discussion should have been had long ago during this season. You're way beyond a serious discussion. You're at the point of action. And if you don't act, then you all need to go. For those of you that have been following this show for quite some time, when the doubts crept up on Motta, I said it. I called it. I said, you can't stop there if you're Juve. As we get things in line financially where we need them to be, it doesn't stop there. The guy who's snoring up in the stands, gone. The banker next to him, gone. Elkan, get me an owner that gives a shit, because even him in this position doesn't give a shit. There needs to be actions. This can't just be swept under the carpet. So I stand firm on what I said months and months ago when doubts crept up, and I said, if this guy has to go, Motta, you have to clean complete house.
Well, to piggyback off of you, Al, like, I think that everybody who's going to stick with Motta they're going to die in a hill with this guy, because if they would have, let's just say they would have fired Motta yesterday, right after the game, like they did to Allegri after that Coppa Italia game last year. if they would have fired him right away, we would have been like, okay, we're doing damage control at this point, right? For the last 9 games of the season, try to stay up there, and we'll see what happens. The fact that now I don't want to conspiracy theory this, but the only thing I could think of is that maybe there's an international break now where they could do some other type of media damage control or something, because you're gonna if they stay with this guy for the next 9 games and they still don't make top 4, now you're all gone. Where if you would have sacked them yesterday, at least you would have given yourself a little bit of breathing room, as Juntuli would have, or of the polar bear up there sleeping. Like, you would have bought yourself a little bit of a buffer. But now you're going to go down with them.
Are they? I don't know, because Elkan ultimately is in big control, and he's not even. I mean, come on.
Jesus.
Like, come on. Like, there's a big difference here between being there all the time, active on the pitch, embracing players through victory, through defeat, and whatever the hell this is.
Was Elkan at the last, 3 or 4 games?
Last 3 or 4? What? Hasn't been there,
I'm saying in this losing streak.
It's non-existent. It's non-existent. Man. And a little bit too much free reign. But, yeah, Elkan's, he's not there. For me, we need a complete revamp. Get the guys in that give a shit.
We've been saying that for the last 4 or 5 years, right?
Yep.
Top down, J Medical, everything.
Oh, God, J Medical needs burnt down,
right?
Period.
But
I thought we purged out J Medical last year, didn't we?
No. One guy came in to be head of J Medical, and people thought that it was purged or something. I don't know where the purge came from. We were supposed to get a purge, but it didn't happen. It was one new guy looking after the whole kit and caboodle, and that didn't change really anything. In terms of the injuries, there was also feelings that maybe Cambiasso had given up yesterday and that he wasn't actually as injured and whatnot. I'm not going to talk a whole bunch on that because, would you be surprised? Probably not, and that's the scary thing about it. But him and Lloyd Kelly both avoid injury today. That's basically just been reported, and I'm still keeping eyes on things, but it's awful. We're 7 points behind where we were last season at this point, with what was an epic collapse in the second half of the season by Juve last year. We're 7 points behind that right now at the same amount of games. This is also losing 2 consecutive Serie A matches by at least 3 goals. We've done that for the 3rd time in history. 1957, managed by Sandro Pupo, and 2011 with the one and only Del Neri. What a season, man. Remember when it was just not that long ago, we were talking about being equal with the 2011-12 Conte side, and everybody was like, see, Mota needs to stay. And I'm like, no, the vibes are completely different. That doesn't tell the story of this team or this season. And now you get more just like that. A couple weeks later, you're back on numbers matching Del Neri. It's been a crazy up and down. I know that everybody's kind of at the same page. We've got comments coming in about this when we're asking, where's everybody at, and fire away with their thoughts post-match. And we got the team is slow in running, pressing, tackling, passing, movement, walking, football level speed for most of it. Vlahovic was never the problem with our attack. Kolomuani will regress into having all the same issues. Any player worth anything will be gone in the summer if we continue this way. Nikki T, what style of play is this? That's my only question. 11 players kicking the ball with absolutely no idea what to do with it. No tactics, no nothing. No skill moves, no through passes. We almost do not attack in the middle and try lucky crosses. We don't look for the striker at all. Nate saying straight up, feels like Motta came here to sabotage Juve as like some type of secret agent or something. And players' quality is never a problem. The problem is the coach. Colo is slowly becoming what is typical and criticized of Deschamps. Motta doesn't know how to put players together to make a suitable team where each player can support each other. So what's interesting is that point-wise, he's not very far off like a Bologna-esque season last season. So what's this big difference? Egos? If we are going to talk about players, do some of our players have egos and they really shouldn't? When you have a roster grossly made up of players that haven't really accomplished anything? Like, everybody's asking this question, why so many problems with our guys and not the same at a team like Bologna? Like, do our guys have an ego where they shouldn't have an ego? I kind of wondered that too.
I'm on the fence with that one, only because none of these players have ever worn this shirt. They've never worn this shirt. They've never played for a team that's one of the top teams in the world. I think that's guys, none of us said shit when we brought in Luis, when we brought in Coop, when we brought in Nico, when we brought in all these guys. We were all happy with the moves. Right? We were all happy with them. I didn't have one issue with them. We all
didn't
said
have
this
problem
guy had a
with
great
them, but you still have a lot of guys that have been wearing the shirt here. We don't have a completely new team.
No.
So where's this ego coming from? Like, and it's funny enough that the new guys aren't the ones having the ego. Yildiz has been here. Vlahovic has been here. Gatti has been here. Cambiaso has been here. These are all the guys rumored to have the issues with the coach. They didn't just get here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So do they have ego for no reason at all? Because it doesn't end at the coach, but like, you have to start somewhere, but there are definitely deeper issues. And the players play their part. It's ugly. It's ugly. I still stand firm though, Motta should be relieved, but the players need the riot act, because this is bullshit. You know? But to the point of Wing of Winter, does Perin seem like a guy that would suddenly have an ego, as he's not really one of those guys? I don't know.
Who comes off as having an ego on the team though? Like, I don't know. I haven't seen anything in the media. I haven't seen anything that would point in that direction, to be honest. I
know. But it's just like, how can you have this many issues? Like, it's weird to me. Like, do these guys need to man up? Do they need to suck it up? I read a report today that said that Thiago Motta singles out guys in training sessions. Is that them being soft? Not being able to take it? Like, is that big a deal? I would hope that it's a lot more than that, because when I read that report, I said, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I think we have to dig a little deeper with it, where I think the players, like you said, you asked me earlier, you said, well, what about the players that have been on Juve, and they're the ones who all have the ego? Maybe they have an ego because they've been on Juve. But the ego maybe goes to Motta, where he didn't fucking prove anything yet. And he came in here, like you said a million times, Berto, he came in here hot, bro. He came in here hot thinking he was Pep. What's that?
He did come in hot.
Yeah. And maybe that was a bad first impression to the players and stuff like that. But who knows? We really don't know. It's all going to be hearsay, and like you say, take it with a grain of salt. But I'm going to put more blame on him. I have to. If it was one or two players that he was having an issue with, cool. But when you hear it's just everywhere, and now Perin, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we talked about it in the green room too, right? I mean, the fact that he hasn't resigned yet after the last two games just speaks to the kind of ego the guy has, right? He's put himself on some sort of mantle just because he's a Juve coach.
Yeah. I'm
I
not really
mean,
sure. So ROFLMFAOT, whatever. This name is a long one. It's a long handle there. But it says, Berto, you said that these players are paid to play whatever position Monta puts them in. It's their job. Now you and others say he should be playing them in their real positions. I have always stood by the fact that, yes, they have a job to do. But obviously, as a coach, it's your job to put it all together. What are we talking about? It's March 17th and this team plays like it's day one. What do you mean? Yeah, they have a job to do, but you're telling me that that lineup yesterday, whether 3-5-2 or 4-2-3-1, is your go-to in a crunch, crucial game for top four? Come on. Come on. And again, yes, they have a job to do, but you're playing Nico Gonzalez how many games in a row at left wing and not seeing any change, and you keep doing it? It's more than, okay, yeah, he's got a job to do. He's going out there trying to do what he can, but if it's not working, that is on you to correct, period. I really don't understand that comment, like, or what it bearing it holds on anything. Yes, the players have a job to do, but the coach is failing at his. This team has no foundation, no basis to continue on. We are going to get to Storm the Barn because there's a ton going on in here. We're going to kick things off right out of the gate here with Pierre, who says players who've left the club improving drastically. Those in the current squad move like a fridge without wheels. Reminds me of Manchester United. Do you fear this is our fate? This is a serious fear Lou and I were talking about months ago, saying that it's a slippery slope. Like, it's a slippery slope. And you got to get it corrected, like, sooner or later. But we're at this point now where we're one of the teams that you can consider. It's a bigger problem than just the coach. That doesn't mean that he needs to be kept or retained, but there's a bigger problem. There's a bigger problem.
Well, maybe it's an environment thing, right? Like, maybe I don't think the coaches that these players are going to afterwards are, these brilliant genius coaches. I think it's the environment. I think maybe when people leave Juve, they could like exhale maybe and be like more comfortable and stay within themselves and not feel the pressure. I don't know. It's got to be an environment thing. It's got to be. What else would it be?
I've been saying
the coaches of these teams like Lippies? No. But all of a sudden, Pierre's right.
I've been saying it the last 1 or 2 months, if not years. Like, if you look at some of the talent that's come in through these doors that have shit the bed, it's mind-boggling to me. Yeah. Like, you look at the moves we made in the offseason, from the coach, Coop Miners, Louise. I maintain Kefren Turan this season, it's a miracle that this guy's doing what he's doing. Just because, in general, everybody regresses when they come here. And it doesn't make any sense. Like, and that speaks to a top-down systematic issue all across the board, right? Like, it's been like this way for a long time, right?
Yeah. And to the comment that said, there was a comment in there that said Nico Gonzalez was one of the top wingers last year and played on the left side. He only played 8 matches on the left side all season last year. He played 35 at right winger. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Okay?
The issues are a lot bigger of whether or not Nico plays the left or the right side. Like,
he can't play the left side with this Juventus. It's just not working. Doing it over and over is a failure. And it's a failure from the guy putting him there over and over and over. The best matches we've seen from Nico, he was not on the left side. Period. If Conte fails to win Scudetto, do you guys see him leaving ADL and Napoli? I don't think it has anything to do with whether they win that or not. This Scudetto is Inter's to lose, 100%. It's going to be how much, out of all this money that they're getting, it's going to be how much De Laurentiis is willing to throw down to invest for him, to get him to stay. Juve, they need to be pressing to sign this guy, in my opinion. You've dropped the ball a couple times. Dropped the ball in many's eyes a couple of times at signing him. This last summer, I would have been wrong too because I said go with Motta, and I'm clearly wrong. So if you're talking about Conte, you need to be pushing to try and get that, because I'm sorry, all the other names for me are significant drop-offs to Antonio Conte. If there's any chance that he leaves or that he's interested in coming back and all those rumors were true and what we were hearing from ex-players that were around him in the summer, if he has any interest in coming back, if you're Juve, you push to get this guy back, in my opinion. Because the vacancy from upper management, he will help with that as well. Because no culture is being established, no DNA, and he gives you instant culture and DNA. And he gives you instant winning mentality. He's by far the guy, and I would be willing to break my rule of no returns for him, period.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't like returns either, Roberto, to be honest. But I mean, he's the best name of what's being sort of bandied around out there right now. That doesn't mean there might be another better option that comes up in the summer. But, yeah. I mean, you nailed it in terms of DNA, in terms of Grinta, in terms of what he would bring to the team. I don't know if he'd screw it up, to be honest.
I think the players need a culture shock, too.
Yeah.
I think the players need a culture shock. I think they need it. I think also he would get more out of the guys that we think are junk. I think we'd see a change. I mean, if we're talking about Rachmani, Juan Jesus, like Politano, these guys that are like been nothing, and this year all of a sudden they're big cogs for Napoli. I mean, the record speaks for himself. I could go back to that Azzurri squad. That was the worst Azzurri squad I've ever seen in my life, almost making that crazy run if it wasn't for kicks against Germany. By the way, Zaza's hasn't landed yet. He's by far.
The only hit on Conte is what we've always said about him, right? And we said this last summer before we brought Motta in, was he's a one bam thank you ma'am type of coach where he'll come in for like a year or two, win you a Scudetto, and then he's out. And he hates playing in multiple tournaments.
That was the hit. That's fine,
right,
though.
But that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Who cares?
We'll take anything at this point.
No, it's not even we'll take anything. It's like, why are people so focused on Champions League when you can't even get the job done at home?
That's what I meant. Like, we'll take anything here.
Take care of business in Serie A. Yeah. These other guys, Mancini,
Pioli.
Pioli.
Nope.
Even Gasp, man. Even Gasp, I'm like iffy. I'm iffy about all the others. So I've been asking everybody these questions lately to rank these guys. So we all agree Conte's the number one by a long shot.
100%.
Yeah.
Take Gasperini, take Pioli, take Mancini, and Tudor. Rank them 1 to 4 in your personal preference.
You want to go, Seth?
After Conte or?
Yeah, Conte's clear by a mile. We've cleared that. So take those 4, rank them 1 to 4.
Oh, God. I actually think that I would go Pioli 1.
Wow.
And do you want to know why? I'll explain it. Gasperini to me scares me. Number one, the whole Atalanta thing. I don't want any more of their bullshit. I'm done with anything to do with Atalanta and their players or their coach. Leave me the hell out. Number one. Number two, I think he'll get way in over his head, just like Motta did. Has he ever coached he played for Juve, I think, right? He never coached a major team.
Gasp
coached Inter.
Gasp coached Inter.
Oh, he did coach Inter?
It fell apart right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go. Pioli has proven it on a big team. He's won a Scudetto. He's done well in Champions League with Milan. And I have to tell you one thing. Pioli did something. I was going to bring this up earlier. I actually had jotted it down last night because it popped into my head. Pioli did something the year he was fired from Milan, where at the end they were having a really bad stretch, and they were in the San Siro, and they lost this really bad game, and he went up to the crowd with the team and took his medicine with the team against the fans. I've never seen a coach do that. Like, he literally, the fans were talking to him, and he was like listening, like as if he was a little kid getting scolded by his parents.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way with me. So I'm gonna go Pioli 1, Gasp. Oh God, Mancini. I can't stand Mancini. I guess I'd have to go Mancini 2. Tudor's got to be 4. I don't want anything to do with him.
All right. Mass, 1 to 4 of those guys.
So Conte wouldn't be included in the top 4. He's already...
No. He's clear number 1. This is the rest.
Man. Here's
we
my
got
issue with
Gasp
Pioli.
clear on number
tough.
1 for a lot of people. Gasp. We got Tudor in a couple number 2 spots, and then Pioli, and then Mancini. We have some saying Mancini. Mancini top for some.
My issue with Pioli is his knock is he doesn't adapt well to game situations.
Well, his
right?
defense sucks too.
So we already have a manager that sucks at doing that. So to bring in another guy that would have problems adapting would be an issue for me. I would probably do Mancini. Gasperini,
I love this comment. Gasp is older than Juve. No thanks.
The thing with Gasp is he hasn't proven it anywhere else, and he's found this sort of magic elixir at Atalanta. Who knows if that's going to translate?
That's called
steroids,
else,
right? Exactly, right?
And
he's not going to have the freedom that he has with Atlanta now when he comes.
So he doesn't make
right?
your. So what's your ranking?
So I'd have to be Mancini, Gasp, Pioli, and then Tudor. And Mancini just on pedigree, to be honest.
I know. I've got Pioli up there in 2. I've got Gasp. Even though I don't really like, I'd probably go that route out of those guys. First, Gasp, Pioli, Mancini, Tudor. Maybe Tudor above Mancini, but yeah, I don't know. I saw one that said Conte, then Ancelotti, then Zidane. Well, if those are options, yes.
Yeah, we weren't given those options.
You know, I would love that. And I would love for those rumors to start flying there for whoever dropped that comment, but we'll see. Remember, I told you about Bologna, Motta, Arnautovic, and now compare with player X. You put the name in there. Motta did not change. Well, I've been saying for a while. I mean, you're always going to have guys that have issues with certain players. Picking out the Bologna and Motta Arnautovic issue, it's like, okay, again, why to such a massive degree here? And that's the part that's crazy, because Allegri had problems with guys. Pirlo had problems with the guy. You had Sarri had issues with a lot of guys. Coaches are gonna have some problems with guys. It's gonna happen. But to this degree's quite intense. Do you see any chance of Juve making top 4 when we still have to travel away to Bologna, Lazio, and Roma? Not unless there's some serious stimulus. Right now, I say no. If things continue, I don't see us doing it. Do you, Mas?
You know what's crazy? We're only a few weeks removed from 6 points out of top of the league, and us saying, you know what, it's a pretty reasonable schedule. But I will say there were some people in the chats that were saying we could lose any of these games. Like, it's just the way we flip-flop. Right?
Jekyll and Hyde team, right? And the way we've been playing, if we play like we did against Atalanta, like we did against Fiorentina, I don't expect anything for results. So right now, if things stay the same, I don't see us doing it.
I haven't seen anything in the last 2 games that would indicate we're going to get top 4. So you nailed it. Unless there is some sort of major shakeup, we are in a world of trouble right now.
We are in an international break.
Perfect time to do it.
Sev, do you think that maybe we, just because it didn't happen today, that at some point during this week, Swarid asks, do you see Juve giving Motta the day by the end of this week?
Well, I brought it up earlier, right? Like, is that the reason why they didn't do it yesterday? Because they have this break?
Maybe.
Like, let's say we had another turnaround game right away, like this Friday or Saturday after yesterday. Like, do you want to go down the conspiracy theory and say, oh, they would have fired him right away? But now we have 2 weeks to prepare for our next game against who do we play?
Genoa.
Who's our next game?
Genoa.
Genoa.
How much time does this team need to prepare? Like, honestly, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to piggyback
Let's give him
off
2
of
weeks
Mas
now.
on this one. The schedule is kind of light for us the last 9 or 10 games, so maybe that's why they're giving him the benefit of the doubt. But how much freaking leash are we going to give this guy? You know?
Yeah, so
I think Club World Cup comes into it as well because we have a quick turnaround after the season where are you going to get a new coach in May at the end of Serie A and then 3 weeks later we got to start a tournament?
Club World Cup is the perfect time to use as something with competitive games. Like, I don't think it's a make or break. Like, we need to keep a coach around that has failed tremendously because of a Club World Cup. Like, I mean, I don't want to see us commit to somebody for 9 games. Like, that's ridiculous to me. You do have to get to the summer. It's got to be an intern. Has to be an intern. Yeah. Like, it just has to be. But Juve's missing the mark on all the needs. We as fans can identify all the needs in upper management, above Giuntoli, way above Motta. The lack of presence from ownership, the fact that none of these guys have their fingers on the pulse of this club right now. We can all spot it. We can all identify it. The problem is Juve isn't. And for whatever reason, who knows? Why this guy is still employed. Now all of a sudden, Giuntoli, if you are in charge, you are actively in charge of this. Anybody who is in charge of this, you've just put yourself on the radar as well. Because it's a joke. You have to set some type of standards at some point. Forza Juve says, if you get to pick the next president at Juventus, who do you choose? 2 rules. 1, has to be an ex-Juve player. 2, no ADP or Chiellini, too obvious. All right. So it can't be one of those guys, and you need the next president for Juve. Has to be ex-Juve player, no ADP or Chiellini. All right.
Well, essentially, a president is to basically put a face on the franchise. He's not really the guy like who's gonna go doing the moves, right?
We gotta That's overlook the sporting director. Everything. He's overlooking it. He's literally overlooking everything.
Like Nedved did for us, like Ibra's doing for Milan.
So we got Gigi shouts, Platini, Marchisio, Buffon.
I would say Platini just because he has sort of that UEFA pedigree, right? He's sort of done it before. He's got that DNA. There's no other obvious candidate for me that jumps out, to be honest. Nobody with experience, anyway.
Yeah, some people are writing Zidane. Zidane wouldn't want to do that job anyway. He wants a coach.
It's about your choice, who you would choose. It's not about what Zidane wants. It's who would you handpick and choose.
Well, you got to think realistically. I would go with Gigi. I would go with Gigi.
I think Buffon's like the easiest and obvious, but I don't know. There's a lot of shouts for Marchisio. I don't know if I see. Nedved, bring back Nedved this time, president role. Yeah.
Better restock that bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what though? I love Nedved, man. Nedved was a real one. Always real one. I think it's got to be Gigi. I think it would have to be Gigi. And you know what? Gigi always had a way with words. He'd always have a way with words that he'd be great at being the face of the club. We all know that. He always is. He still is. I mean, Jesus, he's going into draws, pulls Juve's ticket, and like just the way he even says it every time, automatically bringing a smile to him. I'd love to see it one day, but I do think we need guys like that involved in some capacity. It doesn't have to be president, you know. Bonaparti did it, and he was an ex-player that did it. And if we go that route, I just think these guys need to be involved. Chiellini, there's a lot of rumors about him getting fast-tracked higher up into a position. The latest rumors that it's next to Giuntoli, but after today, no news, no action. Maybe it shouldn't be next to him, okay? Because I'm starting to get really agitated with these guys. Motta got to completely rebuild the team and kick out whoever he didn't like and compare it to what options Allegri 2.0 had and compare their achievements. Allegri kind of had to work with what he had. You're not going to get any arguments from me. I mean, one guy got a 168 million mercado and the other guy got Tim Weah. So, like, there's no argument for me. I mean, he got freebies in Pogba, Di Maria. We saw how that played out. We never were in a position to spend like that for him. Would we have? I would like to hope so that we would have. But it's kind of a circumstance of the time. There are fans there that always felt we should have taken that final year despite the play, despite everything, because there was those that believed the play would have enhanced with better players and better rosters. Today, this season has kind of shown some of those guys that the play, when it was good and those brief little highlights, was a bit better. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. I think I'm just going to say two wrongs don't make a right. I think overall,
we have to remember too, Allegri got handed a pile of shit. Allegri 2.0 got handed a pile of shit with the point deduction and all that stuff. So
yeah, I know this is mainly on Motta, but can we please talk on Nico Gonzalez? The guy is absolute hot trash garbage. 40 million for this guy. Sell immediately. What a failure of a signing. He's trash. I am of the firm belief that this team is grossly underachieving, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think that this team is not capable of playing better than what we're seeing. There is clearly a breakdown, a huge breakdown issues. I'm not at the point of completely giving up on these guys or this group. I'm putting by far a lot on Motta. Do you want to sign guys when they're in decent form and good form, or you want to sign them when they're not? Because we did that. We literally signed guys in decent form. Like Nico had 17 contributions through goals and assists last season. Cope Miner's top 3 for years running, in the top 5 whatever for midfielders Serie A for how many years running. Douglas Luiz on 2 strong seasons, not getting injured since 2021 as well. And they're just all shit in the bed. Furthermore, even some of the guys we got around now are all falling apart. All of them are falling apart.
Which again makes what Thuram is doing pretty impressive.
Thuram's the man. Let's just be honest.
Right?
If there's one bright spot, there's one highlight, it's Kefren Thuram. Thuram's a beauty.
At the end of the day, talent doesn't just disappear, guys. Like
Di Gregorio's reigning Serie A goalkeeper of the season, and he's great. And that's probably because the play doesn't really affect him. He just does his job at the back there. You're signing guys when they're in form. That's when you want to sign them. And yeah, maybe we don't like the prices, but I'm still going to tell you, if you think that the roster that we're 7 points less than at this point last year, if you're telling me that roster is better than this roster, I'm telling you no, it isn't.
No shot.
This roster is better, and it's playing way worse. This team, in general, I struggle to connect to in any way, shape, or form, because as bad as some of these past seasons have been, the team had something. The team had something. This team has nothing at all. I called it a hollow shell. And I legitimately feel this way. The team has nothing, guys. There's no skill. There's no flash coming through. There's no grinta. There's no drive. There's no confidence. There's no what do we got? There's no style. There's no identity. There's nothing. What do we have?
No.
I hate to be that blunt about it. I hate to be that negative about it, but it's true.
Yep.
Well, we don't even know what to say to that because we agree. We agree. There's nothing else you could say. It's
that's the sad part. That's the sad part, right? Is like the team has nothing. So coach is a huge part of that. Huge part of that. This Juventus reminds me of the Edmonton Oilers prior McDavid. Holy smokes, man. Jesus. Being a Canadian hockey fan and not of Edmonton, I would have to call them the Coilers. All right? But apologies there to Coilers fans. But no, McDavid is a freak, actually. But we got to keep it off hockey here. Let's keep it rolling. Kenny D. Seeing how Bologna is doing this year after losing their coach and their two best players, you start to question if it was actually Motta that was behind the success and not just a good team. And not just... I don't know, because then there's a lot going on right now and I was saying this for a while building up to this moment. There was a lot of statements being made that almost downplayed the importance of a coach. There was a lot of statements being made that almost just downplayed the importance of a coach and the significance of a coach. And when you start getting too heavy into the player side of things, I think you really take away that impact, that influence and whatnot. And you could see it all around with the good guys, the good coaches. They'll bring something to the table. I've long asked, what exactly is Motta bringing to the table? I also think that a lot of people had a misconception about Motta before he came. And they thought that he was like this different style or type of coach, but tried to lay it out for everybody that followed Bologna last season. Like, he had a lot of draws and a lot of tight games. He just went on a streak. He was on a good streak at the start, and he had a good streak at the end of the season.
Well, they were one of the top defensive teams in the league last year, right? I mean, we weren't getting some sort of offensive dynamo when he came in, right?
No. And yet a lot thought that we did, right? It's just, there's a few things at play here. But Bologna, I think also Italiano, he's kind of went up a notch in my book for what he's doing at Bologna, because they're better. They're better with worse players. Like, they suffered with their roster, and he's got them doing more. So that's why I say, like, a coach's influence can't be understated. Tuna, can Conte turn Cope Miners into a killer again on the pitch? And will Cope be playing right wing under Conte?
Jeez.
That's jail time, man.
Yeah, right to
Cope is a right winger's jail time. Conte wouldn't do that, and I actually would. If he was available, he'd be the pick. And I think we'd see night and day from a lot of these players. Night and day.
I thought Berto was going to get up from the seat when he saw Coop come in as a right winger against Atalanta last week. I was like...
I just, like... And I mean, looking back, that could have also been a sign that this guy's going with the teacher's pet picks, so to speak. If you're getting to a point... We talked about the options he had to change, like to make that not have to happen, that you're playing Cope Miners as a right winger. It's like he went out of his way almost to do it. This guy
did it again yesterday, though, a little bit. Like, McKennie and Coop kept, like, switching.
Oh, dude, it was just... You know what? I'll give McKennie credit for that. If we talk about the game a little bit, because we were so quick to get out of it because it was so frustrating, but I will say this. I give McKennie credit yesterday because he was the only one actively moving constantly.
First half especially, yeah.
He was at least creating space. And there were some very few times. Kefren Turam was one of them. Midfielder. Not our striker. Not our winger. But like McKennie would show. He'd pull Ranieri out of position. And I only saw one guy attack the space behind that it created. That was Kefren Turam. And Weah got the ball And he turned and immediately went back to Vega. And I'm like, that shit right there is just carbon copy, rinse and repeat what we get all the time. All the time with this football. Nobody's brave, nobody's willing, nobody's taking shots, and the team is just so stagnant up top. It's awful to watch. Awful to watch. And it was frustrating. I felt bad for McKennie because he was literally the only one constantly moving, working his legs, and just creating space, pockets, whatever, and nobody else could utilize it. And you're at March 17th. So as a coach, what film are you reviewing? What are you reviewing? What are you not picking up on that you can't spot this and tell these guys? Again, I swear, watching this team is like we have Stevie Wonder as our coordinator offensively, and he's reviewing the tape. Reminder, everybody, he's blind. It's crazy. What are we talking about here? Miran, when a coach loses the locker room and gets sacked, it's crucial who the next coach is. What characteristics does he need to have, in your opinion? Resume, man management, charisma, mentorship. I'm going to tell you this real quick. First, I want to get you guys answered because I got a quick, short and sweet answer to this. But Mas, you first, then Sev.
Yeah, I think I said it on the last pod. Resume for me is number one. I don't want any more projects. I don't want any more, this guy could be good. I want a guy who's done it before and who's going to bring in some results. But man management's number two on that list for me. I mean, I'm convinced that we have a talented group of players. Are we maybe the best in the league? Maybe not, but we're definitely not getting the best out of this group. So we need a guy to come in and give everybody a shake, give their heads a shake, you know what I mean? And really understand and get these guys playing in the right direction and the right mindset for sure.
Yeah. Reminder, everybody, get the likes up. Sev, what do you think? What are you going for the key attributes here? We've got resume, man management, charisma, mentorship.
The only one I wouldn't really care too much about that one is charisma. Like, I mean, you want your coach to have a little swag? Okay, fine, but
I don't want him to be a slob like Sarri. I'll say that.
What's that?
I don't want him to be a slob like Sarri. I think he should present Juve in a classy way. Like,
sorry. But no, you said it. CV, I want a guy who's won before. I want a guy who's lost before, who knows how to deal with the losing. You just want all of those characteristics. You just want a guy who's been there and not go in over his head.
Yeah. I'm going to say this. No more guinea pigs at Juve right now.
Yep.
Your next one has to hit. Resume is crucial. And if you have the resume, then you have man management. Because it's a huge part of coaching. You can't succeed at coaching without being a decent manager. Like, it just doesn't happen. And again, if people want to say, well, Mota succeeded at Bologna. Well, that's not really succeeding. Like, it really isn't succeeding. He had a good season for them. He pulled them into European play, etc. But like, is that what you consider a strong resume? No. His resume is now affected. And his resume was affected before that one season at Bologna. So, yeah, give me the strong CV. And the man management goes with it. Charisma, make sure he's not a slob. Mentorship, that'll be part of a good resume and a good CV. I just think it all goes in line. And it's really that simple. Mitch, how about Lippi taking over last 9 games now? Or is it 10? Are we at 10? Maybe it is 10 games remaining. I think it's 9. Losing track, which is scary.
I think it's 9.
Is it 9? Yeah. It's 9. Lippi. I said, you know what's funny? Is I said, get Lippi in here, but with somebody that's got like a ticket. Because you don't want Lippi just literally, he's so old, whatever, but to help and to, like, we have so many important and critical figures in the Juve family. Why not try, like, just for the last 9 games? Like, is it going to hurt? If you're looking at committing to somebody, I don't want to commit to somebody, any of these guys. We already went over that. I don't want to commit to Mancini when you're 9 games away from season end and you can make a decision with a calm head, right? That's the play. That should be the play. Do we agree on that? Not committing to somebody for 9 games?
No.
100%.
Okay, so if we can agree on that, what's it? And then you're looking at who? Brambilla from Next Gen or Magnanelli at Primavera? But if Lippi would be willing to come in and you had somebody that had a ticket around that they could partner up almost, and they have some ties here, they could kind of try to give you some type of spirit. Maybe Lippi won't connect with all these guys. He should, but if he can't, like, you also have somebody else that's got a ticket that can maybe come around and spearhead something. I don't know, but we have a lot of important figures all around the place, but it's crazy. It's crazy to me that we can't utilize these guys. And it goes back to having guys like Del Piero involved in the club. You've got important figures all over the place, left, right, and center. And Montero on his own, I was a no, but you know what? Maybe Lippi and Montero for 9 games. Try to spearhead some back. Sure. Combination of a football mind with some grinta, Lippi and Montero.
I wouldn't mind a Magnanelli with no ego, where he's gonna have Lippi behind him going, oh, no, wait, go do that, don't do that, let's go here. I wouldn't mind that.
I don't want to take Brambilla away from Next Gen, but if we were gonna go that route, I'd put him ahead of Magnanelli too, right? But it sucks because this is a shitty spot to be in. We got to be honest, everybody. We're talking about 9 games in, and you don't want a caretaker, but you can't continue on with this guy because you know you're not going to get top 4. Like, it's brutal.
Look at what Ranieri's done for Roma this season, right?
Yeah.
They were a train wreck before he came in.
Yeah.
The expectation was set that he wasn't going to stick around for the following season, and they've turned it around, right?
Yeah. How is Deschamps' resume? I like Deschamps' resume. I'll be quite honest.
Yeah, I like him too.
I think I would take Deschamps over Conte. I'll be honest.
Over Conte? I can't go with that one if we're going to go resumes. No. But why? Why, Mas?
I mean, in both examples, they're both going back, right? I don't know. I like Deschamps. He hasn't managed club football in a while, so that's the only thing that kind of scares me off.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like him as a manager. I like his approach.
I feel like it's unfinished business with him. But if you're talking about his ability to manage, I mean, young or experienced and some serious players when he was doing it with us helped us get back up, of course, and then left. It's unfinished. I wanted him to continue, and I like Deschamps. Again,
I have a quick STB if I can.
Focus on styles, don't really like Deschamps, but we'll see.
I have a quick STB, Bert, if I can. What happens if we do make a quick little move like this, like a Magnanelli or like something interim, like just for the last 9 games, and the first game you see a flat 4-3-3, like Yildiz like where we want him, Nico where we want him, Gunson's out, like would that be the all-telling sign that it was Motta at the end of the day?
No, I think it'll come down to attitude more than anything. Not
right.
Like, if this team all of a sudden shows that they actually give a shit, yeah, that's their move, that's their fight to get that guy gone because they wanted no part in him. Right or wrong, to Mas's point earlier on, that's the only play they really have. Yeah, it's the only play they really have. So we'll see. If we win, oh my God, hypothetical, if we win all games this season, would you keep Motta then? No.
I'm out.
He had me a few weeks ago. Not anymore.
I'm out.
I was literally out like after yesterday. I was even able to handle the 4-0 loss to Atalanta, to be honest, even though it sucked.
You win
And
all these
season long,
games
I've been
6-0, we'll talk. Okay?
right. But
That's how drastic the change would have to be. No.
He lost me at Empoli. That's when he lost me.
Ooh, favorite non-Italian Juve player of all time?
Ooh.
Let's go with all time. Everybody in the chat, let's have some fun. Let's start to get off the games because you know what, the times are kind of rough, and we're gonna try to pick up spirits. I've been dragging my ass on the giveaway. I'm sorry, everybody, but we do have a double kick giveaway, and it is partnered with Display Pro Inks. I promise you, it goes out tomorrow. Okay, we're gonna have a international break show as well coming up later in the week, and of course we'll talk Azzurri. But let's get into this. Let's get some off the cue questions. Favorite non-Italian Juve player, Mas?
I don't even need 5 seconds for that. It's Zidane, 100%. 100%. That's my guy.
Sav?
Zidane was going to be my automatic, but it's tough between Trez and Dybala. I'll go Dybala, just to be different.
I've got it's between Zidane and Nedved for me. It's between those two.
I thought you'd say Trezeguet right away.
And
I would have thought.
Trez is up there, but not with Zidane and Nedved for me.
I will say close second for me is Tevez.
Yeah, Nedved's up there. Trez.
Tevez would be
another good
go,
shout.
I gotta go.
Davids too. Oh fuck, I forgot about him.
I'm gonna give the edge to Nedved and then Zizou. Edgar Davids is a great shout.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
But man, yeah, Tevez is a good shout too. That's a great question. I like that one. So, what if we said you had to go? Because you kind of answered it with Tevez or whatnot, but let's say like favorite Italian Juve player, and you can't use ADP, okay? Can't use Chiellini. Guys that were in there in that 06 team, okay? Who's your favorite Italian player? You can't use those guys. Is it instantly Pirlo?
For me, it's either Pirlo or Marchisio.
Marchisio?
Yeah.
And those are
tough, though.
Those are two good shouts for sure. For me, the name that popped in first was Zambrotta. To be honest, I used to love him.
I was big Zambrotta.
I had a couple. I had a couple of Zambrotta jerseys. I remember. If I can't use
ADP, if I can't use Chiellini, Pirlo's up there, but man, I might go all the way back. And like Baggio was like one of my first memories, but it was also that trident. Vialli, Ravanelli, and Baggio wasn't around like long enough for when I just got into it. Loved him, but Vialli, I was just...
Oh, Vialli's a good shout.
I love Vialli, and I'd probably say I'd go that route. If I can't take ADP, I can't take Chiellini, I'll probably go that route and say Vialli. We got Baggio in there, Cannavaro, Vialli shouts, Zambrotta, Camoranesi, Cannavaro or Vialli, Baggio, Pirlo by far, yes, a lot of Pirlos, and it makes sense. And Gio with the Padoin. That's what won Gio a kit. That's great. That's great. Now, I'm going to leave this up to you guys as we want to try to have some fun as we get out here. And we're still waiting for Skanga to get back here. Is he still there? Yeah, he's still actually sitting there as we see him at Viola Park. It's okay, man. It's going to be all right. Get back here. We need you on the show. Skanga's catching strays all over the place from... some of the army because he was always fighting me when I was saying it's not looking good. But we love Skanga. Okay. Now, Delivio. That's a great show too. Delivio. Love Delivio. Now, Mas, do you have any kind of out there storm the barns, not related to the game, not related to the troubles. Away from that. Do we have some fun ones out there? Army, fire away. We got time for a couple, maybe one or two more nice fun ones. Sev, you got one. They're calling him Jurassic Skanga. That actually works very well with his age.
The only thing I got is seeing that tifo yesterday of Juventus Merda in the Fiorentina stands.
Ah.
And I mean, there's always going to be a tifo, don't get me wrong. But it was a symbol of how far we've fallen. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know. It didn't sit right with me. It sucked. Right?
I mean, they always do it, right?
Yeah.
They always do it. And I mean, even during the decade of dominance, it was happening. The banners were there. The banners were everywhere.
But the thing was, then we were actually good, and it wasn't true. Now it's like...
Yeah, so it's not that the tifo bothers. It's just the fact that we can't combat it. And, like, you go out there and you literally, like, just... You're nothing. You're mush. You're Eddie Mush out there, you know, from a Bronx Tale. Everything you touch turns to shit. And that's what's going on. So... But those aren't going to stop. We need to be able to combat them. It sucks, is what it is. But a storm the barn, that's kind of out there. Seb, do you got one?
I mean, we kind of. I don't know if we touched on his, but
because I got a couple. Everybody, I got a couple.
Post game, Giuntoli's post game presser was almost more deflating than the game. Like. You read it live, Berto, on your watch along, and I was like ready to I was like, all right, we'll win something today. We're gonna actually win something today, and this was worth it, and we'll get, I was excited to do the live today. I'd be like, oh, bro, we're gonna talk about this guy that they're bringing in interim. Your face when you read we're sticking with this guy, you were just like you just went down. Yeah, and then the way he went about it and the way he said it, he was like we're gonna Juventus sticks together and we're gonna stick with this guy and we're gonna keep him and we're gonna the project is still flowing and it was just like it's just that killed me more than the game. More than the game. The play on the game was the Giuntoli conference was worse than that.
Yes. And what scares me about that is that may mean that they might actually be thinking of keeping this guy. Like, how do you do a presser like that and then fire him the next day, right? Like
this guy's pressers mean nothing. And Nedved was the king of the nothing pressers, the kiss of death, etc. There is no way things continue. And like I said, because people were bringing up the ultras, and I wanted to get away from this. I wanted to have a fun storm the barn, you guys. I wanted to get away from the game. But God damn it. I'm telling you, there's no way they stick with this guy, and it'll come to the point. What I said with the ultras, some were saying that, see, they were right, Berto, they were right in doing what they're doing. No, they weren't right, because two wrongs don't make a right. You still have to. If there's anything that provides this team with some type of fight, some type of spark, it has to be there. And you know what? I'd rather have them getting the jeers from the crowd actively there. I think the silence doesn't actually help anything. But if this gets to a point in the summer where there's any kind of indication or lack of action from this team, what has to happen is simple. We have to hurt them in the pocketbooks. And we have to stop buying the merch. You got to... Probably it's going to take an empty stadium for a guy like Elkan to realize, hey, you need to do better, period. There's too many people not doing their job at Juve, and that's a problem. Now, God, let's get away from this shit. Fun ones. Argentinians, okay? Argentinians will rock. We had even French players that you had. But Zidane is too high. Because I think if you pick some of them, you're probably not going to walk away without grabbing Zidane. If you said some of the best French players that Juve has had. All right? But let's take it away. We're going to start with the first question that was your favorite non-Italian Juve player. What's your favorite non-Italian Serie A player since you've been following the league, Juve, etc.? Favorite non-Italian player? Period.
Non-Italian, but it doesn't have to be French or Argentinian.
No.
It could be anybody.
I've got a different one coming for that.
Oh, okay.
I want to start here. Platini, Pavel. Come on with the mellow. Felipe or Artur? Not that it matters. Cavani.
I mean, I'm gonna go boyhood. This is just because of he's the best player I've ever seen play the game is Ronaldo. I have to say it. I know that's the easy pick, but and I mean Ronaldo, the Portuguese one, not the Brazilian one.
Cristiano. Oh,
it's the best player I've ever seen.
Kaká's a great shout, man. I loved watching
there's so
Kaká.
many.
Despite, man, he was so good. The real Ronaldo would be up there for me.
I had one, and then Sev said, R9, and I'm like, ooh, I might have to rethink mine. But
well, R9, I was a little young. I was only like 12 or 13, 14, so I didn't get to see him as much.
Yeah, for me, I think
Batistuta, Gattuso.
That's the name that popped in for me, Batistuta, to be honest, just because that was really when I started getting into football and watching it, and he was unreal, right? But
now here's one, your personal Juve Mount Rushmore. Your personal Juve Mount Rushmore. You can't use any of the 5 that stayed back in 06, and you can use Chiellini because he was an up-and-comer at that time. But give me your 4 Juve Mount Rushmore. Nobody that stayed back in 06 other than Chiellini.
Seb, I'll defer to you on this one. I need to think, to be honest.
Me and Mas
both
just looked at each other and said, you go first. No, you go.
Can't use anybody from there other than Chiellini. Chiellini's going to make it for me. If we can't use anybody from there. So that means no Camoranesi, no Trezeguet, no Del Piero, no Buffon. I might have to go with guys like before I even started watching, maybe for a little bit of history there. But
I have 2 that I'm easy for personally, but the other 2 are like. I'll start it with this. You said we could use Chiellini, right?
Yeah, Chiellini.
Okay, so I'll put him, and just for personal reasons, because this is how I got into calcio as a whole, is I'm going to put Schillaci in there. I'm going to put Totò.
Nice.
God, these other 2 now.
I'm going to put Chiellini. I'm going to put Marchisio for me personally.
Yeah, Marchisio will be up there.
I will probably put...
Make it harder and say you got to have a keeper in there too. You got to have one keeper.
Peruzzi,
right?
It would probably have to be Zoff, though. Like if we were going guys I didn't see play, it would be Platini, it would be Scirea, it would be Buffon still makes it in, but Boniperti would obviously be in there. So I'm kind of feeling like Chiellini, Marchisio, Vialli, and honestly, like, gotta have somebody from. Well, we got Chiellini in there already. It's a tough one for that 4th one for me. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Zidane was. Yeah, it's tough, man. But you know what? These guys are ambassadors now. So a guy like Edgar Davids, who's an ambassador for Juve now, could
I'm almost going to go with him as my 4th.
Make the play. Besotto, Torricelli shouts in there. Montero,
yeah, I was just thinking that.
Montero's
it's
a
tough.
Nice shout.
It's a tough one. It's a fun one, though. But you got to really think about these ones. Think about these ones. Some put Dybala in there. Hey, if it's you personally, cool. But we'll see. We'll see.
You know what? On stats alone, you could put Ronaldo up there, right? What he did in a few years was.
I don't know.
If you,
Berto.
I mean, taking everything into account, you don't put him up there 100%. But on stats alone,
Vialli, Chiellini, Marchisio, and my last one probably. I gotta go with somebody. Honestly, nobody's gonna really like me for it, but honestly, it might be Leo. But he kind of fucked it up with that Milan thing, and I know it was because of Allegri. No, can't put him in there. Can't do it for that. It's tainted. It's too tainted. That last one I'm struggling with.
I have one last
Barzagli.
one. Just to
I'm
going
to put Barzagli.
I have one last one, and you talk about have a little fun, and only because it's the three of us, I think it'll fit. If you had to sum up this season, but it has to be from a Seinfeld episode.
Oh, yes. Okay, we're going to have fun with this. First up, big shout out for the super chat there. Desader says, Juventus attack the scene. Take their time, move the ball around, fill out some paperwork, get approval from VR, and maybe they score. That's great. Okay, this season in a Seinfeld episode. Okay.
Yeah, you have to sum it up.
For everybody in here, we are huge Seinfeld fans. The soup Nazi. Does it relate to the soup Nazi? Oh, my God. I do love Bonucci, though, Wing of Winter. I do. I always have. I always will. I'll tell you. Idiot on the microphone, but I always love Bonucci. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that.
I'm going to start with, just because it's the first thing that popped in my head, the Chinese restaurant episode.
Cartwright.
Yeah.
That's
he
pretty
called
good.
me Cartwright. I missed her.
That's pretty good. Sev, what's yours?
And the reason I say that is we're a team that has been trying so hard to get to that next level, but we're just stuck in that one place, right? We're just stuck, and we can't get a table, is what I'm saying, right? We can't get a table.
Can't get a table. I like that. Sev, what's your episode?
Well, when I thought of this last night, I said I got to bring this up on the show tomorrow because the three of us, we just go. We almost need a separate chat just for Seinfeld.
Oh yeah.
Quotes. But the one for me is the one where George has to explain all the horrible things that happened when he's trying to get the apartment. And then he says everything, and then he goes, "Oh, and by the way, my wife died licking invitations for our wedding that I picked out."
The looks of horror on their faces when he's walking out, right?
Oh my God.
Oh.
I don't know. This is great. Frankie, I'm Kramer walking into the apartment with the multi-out paper, slap him on the table, yell, "I'm out." The famous bet episode. I think I'd have to go. Oh, there's a couple I'm thinking of, but maybe the what was it? The AIDS charity walk and the ribbon, and Kramer doesn't want to wear the ribbon. Because I feel like for a while I haven't wanted to wear the Mota ribbon, and everybody's like, "Why don't you want to wear the ribbon? Wear the ribbon." And I'm like, "No, I'm uncertain of this guy," and now it's coming to fruition. Okay,
that's a good one.
I feel like that's it. The AIDS walk ribbon, but you guys, you got to be able to at least laugh a bit. I hope in this therapy session you got a little bit of entertainment there. I said we're still working on getting Skanga back out of the stands there, okay, and try and have some laughs about it because there's nothing we could do. It's out of our control. This might hit a complete boiling point with fans to a degree where maybe we have to cut funds and hurt them in their pocketbooks. I hate to see it that way. I'd love to think that the club has serious ambitions and we can actually move forward and they can figure it out on their own and realize they need to make a change and what we're doing is wrong. Top four, it's in serious doubt. Let's be honest. If things continue this way, we will definitely not be in that top four, and then it's a disaster. So we're staring down the barrel of that. But again, we just got to hope that these guys take action. And if not, Agnelli, do whatever the hell you got to do to get back here, brother. Because this is a gong show, all right? Regardless, these ones are tough to do. We thank you all in the live chat. You guys are the absolute best. Drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. We're almost there at 8K, all right? So let's go. Big thank you for all the support. And Mas, absolute pleasure. Thank you. Sev, great time, brother. Great time. And that Storm the Barn with the Seinfeld, that is right up my alley. Absolutely loved it. So
Classic.
You guys... take care. As always, no matter what, fino alla fine, forza Juve. But returns that we're against, maybe we need to go back to. Maybe we need to go back to, and we need to remember who we are. And for everybody that's out there, working, that's a part of this club right now, remember who the hell we are. And if you can't, you know what? Then you need to go to. Time to put up or shut up. Otherwise, I got this for you. Okay? Sack this man. Not me. Not these guys. Mota, sack this man. And if you guys aren't, the ones calling shots aren't, then you can go too. And the Vafanculo bus is ready for you. Ciao tutti. International break. I'll still bring you the news around Juve. Maybe we hear something coming up. And otherwise, we will talk about the Azzurri. But there will be a live show. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.